Welcome to Fueling Your Legacy, hosted by Samuel Knickerbocker. Each week, we expose the faulty foundational mindsets of the past and rebuild a new, stronger foundation essential in creating your legacy. We've got a lot of work to do, so let's get started. Welcome back to Fueling Your Legacy. Today, we have our honored guest on, my wife, Sharlie Knickerbocker. So grateful that she was able to join us. She's been not feeling well, so if you hear a little sniffle, she's trying to get rid of a big tumor inside of her right now. It's been growing for about 9 months, and we're anxiously awaiting the delivery of this tumor.
It'll be 10 months on Friday.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's a long time. So today we're going to be talking about just like reviewing our last year, how it went in business and in family. It's our first full year with our first child, Declan, and he's a little bit of a handful, not too bad. He's actually a pretty good kid, but so we're going to review that, and then we're going to talk about some of our upcoming goals, things we're excited for in 2019. So, Charlie, nobody on this podcast actually knows how we even met.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no. So you should at least tell them how we met.
Oh. We met on a dating app called LDS Matchup. It was kind of funny because our profiles didn't, like, they showed up randomly on each other's pages, which doesn't often happen in that specific dating application. And so I thought that Sam had liked my page, and he thought that I had liked his page. So we were both kind of just thrown together, and I talked to him first, and he said, "Oh, I don't get on here very often, so here's my phone number. Text me if you want to talk." And I usually didn't do that. So, but this time I was like, what the heck? This is like my last hurrah, because I was getting tired of the dating apps. I was having weird dates and stuff. It wasn't going well. So I decided to text Sam, and we texted for about a week. And then I decided to ask him out, because I don't like to not know who I'm talking to for very long. And so we met up and went to a concert. And the first thing he said to me was, "You're a terrible texter." And I said, "Well, sorry, you're not one of my priorities right now." And so we just had this funny little sassy conversation, and then moved on with our night, and now here we are.
Yes, that is true. I was slow moving, and I tend to be very straightforward and just say what I'm thinking. And sometimes it's not the best thing to do, because then it comes out and doesn't sound great. Really, I just wanted to get to know her better, and that's why I said that. But
and once he did say that, then it made sense, and I was like, okay, I can text you more.
Yes. No, but that was 3+ years ago. On October 16th was our first date. So a little over 3 years ago, and it's been a fun ride. We did summer sales our first summer together, and then we kind of got pregnant while we were out there. We had a baby the next
It wasn't
spring.
kind of. We got pregnant.
Yeah, that's true. We did. And then that was an adventure, having our first baby. And all of this last year, well, all of 2018 was our first year, as I said, with our baby. And so managing being a father, a new dad, a new mom, mother, it's been a very, very interesting ride. And at times there was some stress in our relationship, different things that we were focusing on. And so one of the things that we should focus on today is, how did we ultimately engage with the conversation? How do we get better at our communication over over the years.
Sorry, say that one more time.
How do we get better at our communication? So when we first were communicating right after we got married,
right.
we were trying to blend two different families and histories, ways of dealing with each other or other people, communication styles. And then when we brought that together, there was some tension, there were some things there. So how do we overcome that?
How do we, or how have we?
Both.
Well, I think we've come quite a bit of a ways. I think for myself personally, I've been able to improve or enhance my own mentality when it comes to the way that you communicate. And that has helped a lot. And also, I think we have both gone through some self-discovery of who we are and why we are the way that we are. And when you do that, then it helps you to communicate with the other person better, I think.
Yeah, no, I think that's one of the main things that helped me was being understanding of the way she communicated and learning how to really be understood. Because that's something for me, as evidenced by our first date and the first communication. I'm not always the best at communicating exactly what I'm saying or what I'm feeling. I just say what's going across my mind, and it doesn't always come out the way it's intended. And so I had to learn how to be better at communicating what I was actually feeling rather than just saying words, thinking that it was going to get somewhere that didn't always translate the way it was supposed to. And I figured that out.
Yeah. I think, we're getting better at that. I think as long as we continue, and anybody really, as long as they continue to discover who they are, especially as they're changing, then they'll be able to tell any relationship they're in, the other person, they'll be able to tell them, hey, this is how I think, this is how I communicate. How can I be better for the way that you communicate, etc.
Sure. It's a mixing of how we actually think and being understanding, not requiring somebody else to change. And I do my best not to require you to change at all.
Yes, you do good at that.
I try and adjust around you. There was one thing that I said on the podcast on Wednesday about the birthday issue. Right. So that was the thing. But we actually read a book together, and that's something we found has been pretty helpful, at least for me. A lot of who I've become over the last 10 years of my life, I contribute to a lot of books, but I don't know how to share that of who I've become with Sharlie. I was struggling with it, and so I actually invited her to start reading some of the books that I read so that she could understand me better. And so we could actually learn to communicate better. And one of the books which we read was The 4 Tendencies, like I talked about on Wednesday. But Sharlie, what did you get out of The 4 Tendencies, and how do you feel like that helped our relationship?
Well, I loved reading The 4 Tendencies. It made me laugh a lot because once you read it and just kind of discover where you fall, and it may be many of the categories, it may be more solely just one of the 4 tendencies that you fall into, but once you kind of find out where you fall, you just kind of start laughing at yourself, and you're like, oh yeah, I do that, or I think that way, or whatever. And then on the other hand, you're also listening to the book or reading the book for your spouse or whoever the relationship that you're focusing on, and you laugh even harder because it describes that person really well and the way that they think and the frustrating things that they say that you don't understand. But once you start reading this book, you start understanding them better. And you're like, oh, that's why he does that, or that's why he says those things, and this is how I can talk to him or show him that I need something different at the time, or just whatever.
Yes, to all of that. Yeah, no, the Four Tendencies book, it is a fantastic book, and I'll strongly recommend everybody pick it up, because it's funny. It's like the irony type funny, where you just laugh every time you hear something that you relate to or you see, or you've heard somebody else say. You're like, oh man, they took the words right out of that person's mouth. And I completely agree. That's what I love most about the book, but also what it's been able to facilitate in our relationship of helping us to communicate better and to be more clear. Once you read the book, you'll understand these terminologies. I kind of went over them on Wednesday, but the idea of obliger and a questioner. Sharlie's an obliger and I'm a questioner. At the beginning of our relationship, I actually was looking for someone who was willing to stand up to me and say, no, we're going to not just do it because you said to do it, Sam, but we're going to do something different, or we're going to think about this. And it took a while, but when Sharlie read this book, Sharlie's the classic obliger, where she's one who is easily going to fulfill outer expectations, things that others expect of her, but doesn't often keep her inner expectations. And so how did that feel for you, Sharlie? I'm curious, when you recognize yourself, and then what have you done to kind of mitigate maybe the less desirable aspects of that personality type?
Well, when I figured out that that was my primary tendency, it was kind of funny. But then I read the part where it said that probably the majority of people on this planet fall into a more of an obliger category. So that didn't make me feel very special. I was like, oh man, I'm like everybody else. We're all just trying to make each other happy. But it doesn't always work out, because if I'm only obliging to others and they're only trying to oblige to me, then nothing ever gets done and nothing ever works out, and we get frustrated at each other because we're tired of the demands that we make on each other, and it just is a mess. But there's a portion of the obliger section that talks about obliger rebellion. And many times when an obliger gets too settled into their tendency, they keep saying yes too much, and they oblige to too many people. And at a certain point, they can't handle it anymore, because nobody can do all of everything. And so they start to rebel, and they get angry with people, and they say no to everyone, and they kind of hunker down and become hermits and things like that. And I've definitely experienced that at certain times in my life, where I just feel so worn out and frustrated, and I feel like people are taking advantage of me, and all these different things. And so once I read that, I wanted to make sure that I didn't settle into that situation, or try to avoid it as much as possible. And so for me, being able to realize what that breaking point is between living true to my nature, but also not allowing it to overrun my life to the point where I shut everybody out. And I'm still working on it. It's easier to do this with you or with Sam, because I can tell him, Sam, I am very much in an obliger state right now, but I'm heading into the rebellion stage, and I need to just be able to say no to you without you being upset or like trying to persuade me otherwise. And that has really helped, at least for he and I. But it's hard to tell other people in your community or in your circles, like, hey, I really need to say no to you right now. I just can't deal with it. But I am able to more tactfully let them know that I'm not capable at the moment of fulfilling their expectation of me or something like that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the biggest part of that, at least for myself, when I read the book, was just recognizing that that's a thing, right? Recognizing that there's a point where you overcommit, or for myself, I'm an undercommitter. Like, I just don't like making commitments at all to anybody. And so
he doesn't like people's expectations of him.
I don't. And so I think that Sharlie and I are actually the perfect pair for each other. Because when I'm struggling with something, I know I want to do something, but I just am struggling actually making the commitment to do it. Then I can share my desire with her, and she can say, well, let's just do it. And she can commit for me because it's a struggle for me. And likewise, when she's struggling with needing to say no to somebody, but she can't find it inside of herself to say no, then she can say, hey, Sam, I need you to say no to this because I just can't do it. And so it's actually helped our relationship by being more vulnerable and more aware of who we are and what we are good at and what we're not good at. We're able to come together and be more one with each other. And I really believe that this happens in business, it happens in religious organizations, anywhere that you're having a relationship, period, then you need to have some sort of way of communicating with these people or these situations. On Wednesday, I used the example of a phone. A phone can be a great tool, but it can also be a really good master if you don't know how to communicate clearly and set good boundaries with it. And so that's an important task as well, as making sure that you're setting clear boundaries with your technology and that you're not succumbing to outer expectations of this technology or inner expectations, whatever it is, getting control of that. And so we want to talk a little bit about how our goals ended up last year or what we were able to accomplish and the growth in our relationship. Obviously, our first son, he's started walking this year. He started talking. He now swears sometimes because we swear sometimes. And so it's funny to see that we need to be better examples, and every day is a new opportunity for us to learn and see what it is that we do need to improve on.
Yeah.
And but in the same token, we got to look forward and say what things could we do better. So I'm gonna ask Sharlie a few questions just so I can so we can have full disclosure of how we did in our relationship and how we can do better moving forward into 2019. So we're going to talk about our goals, but first we're going to see a few questions here. So I have to ask you, Sharlie, how did I show up this year? How do you feel like I showed up as a father or a husband?
Well, that's kind of a difficult question for somebody who just loves you so much. I feel like for most of the year, you did pretty well. I think there was I don't know, do you remember? It was like a 2-week period, maybe? I don't know. There was a period of time where I started feeling very lonely, I guess is a good term.
Yeah.
You were very, very, very busy, which is a good thing at times, because we know that means that work is going well and all of that. But it was more of the interactions at home. The phone was always out. Instagram or Facebook was always up, always talking to other people on Messenger or things like that. And so there was a period of time this year that I started to feel those distractions kind of entering into our home life, and that was frustrating for me. And we talked about that probably a few weeks after I had realized I was feeling this way. It took me a while to kind of bring it up, but
you did bring it
but
up.
I did bring it up. Oh yes.
And how did you bring it up?
Well, I am one that likes to make sure that all my thoughts are making sense and they are concise and fair and not just attacking somebody because I'm feeling lonely or upset. So I, one night after Sam fell asleep, I just came down and I just started writing in my journal all the things that I had been feeling the past few weeks. and and because of my personality, if you read the journal entry, you know, it's quite forgiving as well. And I give him a lot of the benefit of the doubt, but I do write down my feelings nonetheless in that entry. And then I think it was a day or two later that I finally shared the journal entry with Sam. And the reason I do that is because if I can write down everything I want to say and everything I'm feeling, then it's much easier for me to just say, "Hey Sam, I'm going to read you this 5-page entry and then we can talk about it. But I just want to read it all how it is, no matter how raw it is." And so I did that. I read that and we talked about it and we got down to trying to figure out a better solution for things. So I don't recall that happening more than just the one time. But maybe there were shorter stints of a couple days or something. But that was like the bigger moment in this year of 2018 that was, we were a little disconnected and things like that.
I completely agree. It's interesting that specific example, because I was feeling very much similar the same way as far as distant, getting lost, but I didn't know how to bring it up and I didn't know how to fix it really. And that's what I love about Sharlie is she is great at sharing her feelings. She does like to process all of her feelings before she shares them, which is also great because that means she doesn't yell at me too much. No, she's fantastic. But that's something that's important when you're in a relationship. It's one of the things I love most about Sharlie is her ability to communicate back to me and to be understanding and not accusation or accusatory, but being understanding of open to other solutions and other things that maybe she's unaware of. I know that for myself, that's something I try to do. I don't know that I'm as good at it as she is. But that one of the things that happened in 2018 was that I chose to move my business from purely a face-to-face business a lot more onto social media and online. And with that comes just a lot of time. The relationships you have to build relationships differently online. And there's different levels of boundaries. There's just a plethora of different things that I was and still am figuring out about the online world for business. And Sharlie has been very, very understanding as I go through the ups and downs of that side of the market, and learning how we can use this as a team to propel not just our business, but also our family into the future with this. And that's something that I consider Sharlie and I business partners in our business. And the goals of our business are first and foremost faith, and then family, then our fitness, and then our finances. And although in that business of life, I've taken on the responsibility of the financial end of the business, there's still the other three: faith, family and fitness that still have to be worked out. And so we've each taken different roles in the business in that situation. So I'm curious, how would you define your role, Sharlie, in our business?
I've been asked that question before. Well, I am mainly a support, or I guess a backbone, maybe. I'm the person that Sam can come home to and tell me everything about everything, and he can just, whether it's good or sad or bad or whatever it is, he can kind of lay that out all on the table in front of me, and I can help him kind of wipe it all clean and be like, okay, now you can go out and kill it the next day. Or, something like that. Besides, of course, my major role right now in taking care of our son and soon to be second son, which is a big job. And because we don't have to pay for daycare, we just, I'm here with him, and I try to be here whenever Sam can be home.
Yes, and another thing that I struggled with over this year is Sharlie is a very, very good singer, and she likes to be part of a choir. And sometimes I get so focused in on the business and finance side of supporting our business that I don't schedule my time effectively to allow her to go and have her time. My passion and what I just love to do, and I could talk about it way too much in Sharlie's opinion, is business and just working. Like, I love working. And so that's my passion. So when I get to go out every day, I get to spend all of my day doing what I love doing. And for her, she loves doing musical things, but she doesn't get that opportunity to do musical things all day, every day as much. But she does have one time, Thursday evenings generally, that she has set aside for her hobbies, the things that keep her sane and happy and joyful. And something that I recognize this year that I need to do better at, and that I'm going to do better at, is making sure that you have that time and you don't have to worry about the kids and worry about those things. So that's something that came up multiple times throughout the year, is that I would schedule things on top of her hobby, and then because I was thinking selfishly, I would just assume that she would find a babysitter so that she could go do her hobby, rather than me taking responsibility of that's Sharlie's time to go do what she wants to do. And if I expect not to be babysitting or taking care of my children, it's not really babysitting, but taking care of my children, then I need to that's my responsibility to find a babysitter, not hers. And so that's something, I would say that's another point that we had multiple discussions of over the year, was working that out. And it's a constant battle. And there has to be compromise on it everywhere. And that's somewhere that I need to compromise more on my end and take care of. So that's something that I recognized from the family perspective. Although Sharlie generally is the one who's taking care of the home front as part of our business, there are times when I have to step in and take care of that and make sure that we're covered on all of our bases. So that is something that I'm working on.
Yes. So. And it got a little bit worse once we had two of his sisters. One of Sam's sisters lived with us. She just moved out. And the other one moved down here to be close to us and to his other sister. And so once they were close by and not doing much, it got worse when he just would say, oh, well, they can just stay home with them, or they can watch him or something. And and me being an obliger and being thinking a lot about how I would feel if I was that person. It would always frustrate me because I was like, we ask them a lot. we shouldn't do that. They have lives too.
Yes, and
And
I'm
so
definitely the questioner that says, why not ask them? Why not ask them? If they say yes, then yeah. I'm the poison for a real good obliger, and so and so that's why we're a good couple and good team to make sure we're not abusing each other too bad.
Yes.
With our expectations. So that's how our 2018 went. We have some actionable things that we're moving forward. On the business side, I have some goals that we've talked about on other podcasts, but definitely we're going to 3 times our income. We're going to our business is really taking off in a big way right now, and we're going for it to really just help more families. This year, I think the total families helped from the financial side of our business was 52 families, and I'm looking to double that number of families that I helped, and that is only possible. I could not do what I do on the business side, the finance side of things, if Sharlie was not able to take care of the family side of the business. It just wouldn't work. The times when she's needed more help at home, it has been harder for me to shift my focus and go back out into the business when I came home and was the more focused on the family. So I'm super grateful for Sharlie, and I know that she's the reason that I'm able to accomplish what I'm able to accomplish. So we're going to do that. I'm also going to start speaking more in public, and we have an understanding that once I start speaking enough, Sharlie will get to speak with me, because it's something that terrifies her. But she has some things that she wants to share with people about being a supportive spouse, and I'm grateful for her and her willingness to share those things, because it's important. And then our podcast that you're listening to right now, we are going to get a lot more listeners onto this thing. Like I say, on Wednesday, we just crossed over a little over 1,000 listeners, and now we're going for 250,000. So that's a big jump, but I know it's possible. As you guys see value in this and you go out and share it, that's going to totally happen and be possible. Sharlie's also very good at editing the things that I say. Sorry for all those who read my things online. Those ones are not edited by her. Those are just my posting, and my grammar's terrible, spelling's terrible. All those things, not my strong suit, but she's going to help me publish my first book. We're going to together get that done. And then, just as she had mentioned, her journal, my journal, I was really good at writing in my journal almost every day for like the last 7 or 8 years, even longer probably, up until we had our first baby. Once we had our first baby, it's very, very sparse.
Life turns upside down.
Yeah, the last 2 years are almost non-existent in my journal, and so I'm going to fix that. And this year, I'm committed to writing every day and start recording our lives and more of the special, unique things that happen on a daily basis and the things that I'm grateful for. So those are some of my 2019 goals from the business side, finance side, but also on our family side. We found that having kids, we're still learning this kid thing. And we didn't spend as much time together as Sharlie and I, and deepening our relationship that way. We kind of shifted a focus onto our son, Declan. But we are going to change that, and we're going to start dating again, which is exciting. I love dating new people. And Sharlie's changed a lot over the last few weeks. I've taken a lot of time off and just decided to come home and spend more time at home over the holidays, and it's been fantastic. And I'm just got the butterflies again, excited to go out and date my wife. It's exciting. So those are some of my goals and focuses that I'm going to be focused on. I'm curious, Sharlie, what are you focused on for 2019? And then how are you going to use your tendency to hold yourself accountable and actually accomplish those things?
Yes. Well, in addition to those goals, that Sam talked about, because I am very much invested and involved in all of those. But some more personal ones for me in the fitness side of things is for myself to get down to probably about 140 pounds. And many of you listeners have probably either had a baby or known somebody who's had a baby, and how difficult it can be for some women to reach their fitness goals after the baby comes. And so that's a big thing for me, not because I'm desperate to look a certain way, but more because I want to feel a certain way. And I, especially these past few weeks being so big with child, I feel like I'm out of breath all the time. It's just, I've the heaviest I've ever been, and it just does not feel as good as when you are healthy and feeling good and can play with your kids and not worry about that. So it's one of them. Sam also mentioned that I'm really into music. I am an amateur guitar player. I sing more than I play the guitar, but I do love to play the guitar, and I love to sing and play at the same time. And I would love to write 3 more songs for each of my boys in my life, Sam, Declan, and our new baby. I've written a couple of songs. One of them was for Samuel, but I want to revisit our relationship and write a new song about where it's gone. And then I want to also listen to or read 1 book a month this year. Sam is a lot better at it than I am. He listens to audiobooks like crazy, and he just turns them on in his car and finds all this time to educate himself on so many different subject matters. And I feel like that's important for me to also do that, not only to educate myself, but also to be able to go where my spouse is going. And I hope I can find that time, with two boys in my house that have a lot of energy. So we'll see how those go, but that's what I'm working on this year.
Awesome. And with your obliger tendencies, how are you, what are you going to use to keep yourself on track for those?
That's hard, because obligers don't usually like to have outward accountability. Because usually when you have somebody outside of your control asking you and keeping you accountable, a lot of times you can get rebellious and get frustrated when you're not fulfilling the things that they are trying to get you to fulfill. So for me, that's kind of hard, to have somebody else ask me about it. But I'll probably just need to keep more of a record for myself, because then I'm accountable to myself, and I'm obliging to my own expectations.
Yeah, for me, I have to constantly be reminded of other people. Like, these are my inner goals, and so I'm committed to them. But sometimes I can be just like a squirrel and looking at a lot of different things. And so remaining focused for me is sometimes an issue. With my questioner tendency, I'm always questioning everything and can get lost rather than accomplishing things. And so sometimes it's helpful just to have either technology or something there that says, hey, you just got to do this right now. oh, okay. And then I'll get it done right away rather than putting it off. So those are some things that I'm going to put in place for myself to stay accountable and make sure that we're actually going to accomplish our goals. And one thing's for sure, with a lot of these goals, there's no way that I can possibly accomplish them by myself. And I intentionally set my goals so big that even just Sharlie and I, we are not going to be able to accomplish this ourselves or just in our family. It's going to take a massive network of people there to support and help accomplish this. And that is really why I've shared them on social media. I've shared them in multiple podcasts now. I share them with just anybody that I meet. I don't know who's going to help me accomplish my goal, but I'm sharing it with everyone so that if anybody is able to, then I'll get that support and I'll get the help from those individuals who have the abilities at that point in time to help me accomplish any one of my goals or all of them. And so sharing your goals is so incredibly important. And next year, 2020, we are going to be able to look back on this podcast and say, what did we accomplish? Where are we going from here? And see how we, how far we made it. So with that, please like, comment, and share, and go follow my wife on Instagram.
I do have an Instagram.
I know, she does, and it's her old name. She hasn't changed her name on it yet. We'll probably get that done right now, actually. We're going to stop procrastinating that. Go follow Sharlie Knickerbocker on Instagram and give her some love. Thanks a bunch, and we'll catch you next time on Fueling Your Legacy. Thanks for joining us today. If what you heard resonated with you, please like, comment, and share on social media. Tag me so I can give you a shout out on the next episode. And thanks to all those who have left a review. It helps spread the message of what it really takes to build a legacy that lasts. Catch you next time on Fueling Your Legacy.